What's up guys, back in today with another video on the channel, and today I'll be doing my tier list for the Fruits Basket characters. Really excited to get into this. This is the only tier list I'll be doing for Fruits Basket, as it's the only one I can see kind of having any real diversity for me personally anyway. There's a hell of a lot of characters in the show, and a lot of relatable characters. I think that's why it's so interesting doing a tier list for these this show, especially just because again there's so many relatable characters. I think everyone relates to certain characters more than others, and obviously in that case we'll have different favourites than other people. I think there's just going to be a lot of variety between people's favourites, so hopefully you guys can respect my opinion, and again it's going to probably be very different from your opinion and many other people's opinions as well. But thank you, Shah, for recommending me for doing this. Again, I've done this with Gintama after I finished watching that as well, and it was an absolute joy and really awesome to see where other people kind of rank their characters as well. So if you guys want to let me know where you guys would rank your characters in the S tier, for example, down in the comment section, that'd be really awesome. Leave a like on the video if you guys did like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you do want to keep up to date with any of my reactions. I will be watching Sket Dance on a daily basis after now finishing Fruits Basket, so hopefully you guys can join me for that one. I don't think many people have actually seen that show, so maybe you guys are going to pick that with me, or maybe you've already seen it before. But either way, let's get right into ranking these characters. Going to be playing the openings and endings as well while ranking these. But I don't think this video is going to be all too long. My Gintama one obviously took hours because there was a hell of a lot of characters. They really put a lot of minor characters in that tier list as well, but not too many here. That's because a lot of these characters, there isn't a massive amount of characters in Fruits Basket, but all the characters that are in Fruits Basket do get expanded on a lot. Some don't, like this girl with a wink. I can't remember her name, which is obviously a sign that I don't really relate to her too much, and she wasn't all that much of a focus. But other than her, pretty much all of these characters had at least a couple episodes focusing on them and portraying their problems really well. So we'll get it started with, I guess we'll go, should we go in order? Well, we'll start in order. I think we'll probably play about a little bit. But first of all, we got Kisser. Yeah, I'm happy with these. I forgot to change these, but I guess it works. Yeah, first we got Kisser. A character, again, we didn't have too much development from her after the second season. She didn't get all too much development in the third season. Of course, the third season was portraying a lot of heavy kind of storyline stuff, so obvious reasons why she wasn't that much of a focus in the third season. She did get moments to shine, don't get me wrong, alongside Hero. Nice they put them together even in the tier list. But I remember just the first season, it was a really memorable episode, seeing her getting bullied and such, and seeing her story in that light. So I think, and just as a character, I really love seeing in general on the screen having happy moments rather than these kind of emotional backstories as well. I like seeing her just have a little bit of fun with Hero. I think she's a very fun character, and again, I really liked her backstory as well. So I think I will go B tier for Kisser. Again, a character not expanded on too much further than that kind of original kind of delve into her and into her bullying, but again, it was just such a wholesome episode, and some wholesome moments with Toru. I think everyone has wholesome moments with Toru though, don't they? So I think that's definitely a B tier for me. I think Hero probably goes in the same lane. Now that, again, a lot of this is where a lot of people's lists can vary. As I mentioned, people will probably have a lot of variety in ranking these characters. Hero could easily be D tier, or it could be A or S tier for some people as well. Personally, again, I really didn't like him at the start. I don't think a lot of people liked him at the start because he was quite pretentious, but he obviously is just a little kid and he was learning, so he grew so much in the 3 seasons. Again, it started out quite poorly. He probably would have been D tier if I was still watching the first season right now, but just the amount he's improved himself and understood other people's feelings and such as well, it's just interesting by itself, just seeing his storyline in that aspect. So I think B tier is a good fit for him, and again, I like his moments with Kisser as well. Always really cute seeing him be this little Prince Charming. But next we've got, I think that's Ritsu. Yeah, I think that's Ritsu. We had one episode focused on Ritsu. I think it was in the first season, and then didn't really see them at all during the second season. I don't believe, maybe here and there. And then she or he, again, apologies, I don't really know which one to say. I think it's a he. Then he popped back up in season 3, right at the end, with a scene with Kaguya, which I didn't really care all that much for. It was nice seeing those two again, but again, he didn't really get any more developments past that episode in season 1. So and he wasn't reoccurring at all. So I will have to go D tier. It could have been really interesting seeing his story. It was quite interesting in the first season episode, which was focused on him and his problems. But just because they didn't really delve any deeper into that, I think I will have to go D tier on that one. Okay, so next up we've got Rin, who's a very awesome character. She got a hell of a lot of spotlight in season 2. I don't might not be right here, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't even introduced in season 1. Again, that could just be my memory failing me, but I'm pretty sure she was only introduced in season 2. So it's crazy how much the character development, how much of a focus she got. Again, just being introduced in season 2 and then season 3 as well. Not having too much time to shine, but she shone a hell of a lot in my opinion. Definitely one of the more brutal kind of backstories with a Keto as well. But I think I absolutely love her character, her dynamic with Haru as well. That was one gripe I had a little bit with kind of ending towards the series. I would have liked to see a little bit more of her relationship with Haru. Don't get me wrong, we've got a hell of a lot of it in season 2, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of them kind of after the fact of the bonds breaking. I would have liked to see how their relationship and dynamic kind of changed, but we didn't get to see all that much after Haru's bond broke and she had her bond still. Again, I think that could have been an interesting area. They could have maybe expanded upon a little bit with her still having a bond and Haru not. But either way, I really like those two dynamic, and Rin in general was just a great character. I loved her feistiness, especially when she was first introduced. She was an absolute badass, and then we get to see the softer side of her as well as Toru broke her down again. I think she's definitely the first S tier character in my opinion. Again, I do have that little gripe, which is why she's not one of my absolute favourites in the show. But again, she's definitely an amazing addition, and her storyline was so interesting as well, and the relationship with Haru is pretty much everything about her character. The development, the storyline was pretty much perfect. Again, just one minor gripe again, which was just something I personally wanted to see, which of course wouldn't really add too much to the overall story, but it would have been again something kind of like a fan service I would have liked to see. So next up we are going to, I think we will go in order here. It's pretty good order, to be honest. It's not massively great characters here, bad characters there, which sometimes it is. But next up we've got Kureno, another addition only added in season 2, I believe. Quite late in the game as well, if I'm not wrong. I could again be wrong about that, but especially at the end of season 2 and the start of season 3, he played an absolute massive part in the story, being the first person whose bond broke. Again, the impact he had was massive, and as a character, he's a really nice guy. We didn't get to flesh him out to a massive extent, just because the promise he made to Akio kind of goes against kind of fleshing him out massively, doesn't it? He doesn't ever really have this big personal life behind what he does for Akio and such, other than when he met Uo-chan and they kind of hit it off. That was again the only kind of aspects of that we did see. And then obviously we get teased at the end of the series that he does get with Uo, but I think he would be, again, it's difficult because again he's such a big part of the story, but he's not a character favourite, if you know what I'm saying. He's not one of my favourite characters of the series. He's definitely one of the biggest and most important characters, but if he is it one of my favourites? I don't think so. So in that regard, I will have to put him A tier. Don't get me wrong, he's an absolutely sweet guy. Again, that promise that he kept to Akio was just amazing how he kept that through his whole life, kept kind of tied down even though he didn't have that bond, and is very admirable for that. But again, just because of that, it kind of loses the kind of personality and the kind of character that wants to meet Uo and go out and do these things rather than just look after Akio. So that kind of goes against him in that regard, but again, it's brilliant for the story. So yeah, I think A tier definitely suits him in that regard. Again, if we got more of his personality, probably S tier. If we got less, it'd probably B tier. But yeah, I could probably see him being an S tier character for a lot of you guys, or maybe even lower. Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen anyone else's tier list. So again, let me know what you guys have down in the comment section. Next up, because this is the darkest one, I'm pretty sure this is Akio, isn't it? I think that is going straight in the S tier. Akio, absolutely amazing character, in my opinion. Again, brutal character. There throughout the whole series, there's this, especially throughout the first season, there's this kind of almost, it is a, what's it called? Spiritualistic kind of presence. This again, just the presence of a Keto and just the name just gave you chills in season 1 and in the first half of season 2. And then seeing that it's just this normal girl brought up to be this guy, the backstory, the personality of a Keto, again, all the brutal stuff she done doesn't take away from, well, I think I'm wording that wrong. All the brutal stuff she done doesn't kind of go away after the end of the series, but seeing her have a kind of happy ending and kind of try and move past what she done and not fully kind of apologize for it, but just trying to repent for it in her own way, keeping the Soma status, just they've done an absolute brilliant job of her personally. Again, it could have gone very badly or very well for her, because again, all the horrible stuff and all the horrible stuff you've done to the Zodiac people, it's just, again, amazing how they made an ending where you're actually kind of rooting for her, where you're actually trying to help her out, and seeing her in this beautiful kimono, for example, is an absolutely beautiful moment, even though, again, she's done all this horrible stuff in the past. It's almost like Gintama levels of top tier writing in that respect for the villains, and again, definitely deserves S tier. Obviously the main push of the storyline, Keto. And then once you get all the stuff revealed with the Zodiac and stuff, it just makes so much sense. Again, she just has so many phases, if that makes sense for you guys. Again, I do word stuff horribly in these tier list videos, but like a story has a beginning, middle, and end, Akio has these kind of 3 stages as well, where you don't really know anything about her. She's just this kind of unknown, kind of evil. Then you get to know, and then you understand, and then you kind of come to like her a little bit, want to see her redeemed a little bit in that regard. So again, just brilliant writing in my opinion. So definitely S tier for me personally. S tier both as a villain and kind of as a character at the end of the series. Next up after that, we've got Uo. Really awesome character. Again, quite a lot of focus, especially in season 1. I would have actually liked to see a little bit more focus for both Uo and Hanajima after season 1. They didn't get all too much of a focus after that, which I was expecting them to get more of a focus, because it was quite interesting how the side cast got a big focus in this show, rather than other shows which just kind of leave them by their own, and just have their kind of personality traits show up every episode. Like, this is the funny character, he's going to tell a joke this episode, he's going to tell a joke next episode, and that's it for him. These guys again got actually storylines, and towards the end of the series they did get to kind of complete their storylines with getting with their men. But I would have actually liked to see a little bit more of the journey towards that. For me personally, again, I knew there was a few time restraints and such in the final season, which obviously goes against that happening, but maybe in the manga that's a bit more expanded upon. But for me personally, these are two, I think I will put them together. They're two brilliant, actually no I won't, because they are very different characters actually. Just because they're best friends, I was going to lump them together, but I do really like both of these guys. And again, they're very non-cliche characters with really, really interesting stories. So I think, oh, this is a difficult one. This could go I think I will go B tier for Uo. Really enjoyed the episode with Kareno. I think that was in season 2. And Hanajima as well. She never really had any kind of major episodes with Shisho until the final episode, but she had a lot of episodes surrounding her. In season 2, she had quite a few episodes surrounding her as well. So she did get quite a big focus, and I do really like Hanajima. You know, so I like her more than Uo. Again, they are kind of together, aren't they? It's, funnily enough, they're so different. They're such different people, but they almost had the same amount of exposure in the story, didn't they? Almost the same amount of focus. This is a difficult decision, man. Yeah, I think I will go like this. I'm not specifically ordering them in their categories, but for this one, I think I will. I think Hanajima is a little bit better than Uo, in my opinion, just because, again, I just really like her. That's all I can say about that one. You know what's interesting, because I'm not sure I'd necessarily have Kareno above these two. I think I'd have Kareno above Kisser and Hero, but I'm not sure I'd have him above these two, so I might actually move Kareno down. I think I will move Kareno down, even though, again, it's such a massive part of the story. In terms of characters, he's not at all my favourite over these two. So I think Kareno will be going down to the B tier, in the middle of B tier. Next up, we've got Shisho, a character again not too much exploration, not too much of a focus on him. He was a kind of big part for Kyo during the story, wasn't he? He was a bit of a big saviour for Kyo, the only real kind of parental figure he had before we knew about his relationship with Kyoko, that is. And yeah, in terms of that, he didn't really get all too much exposure. He's a really awesome guy. I think C tier is probably where I'm going to put him, just because, again, we didn't get too much of a big focus on him. But he's, again, a really nice guy. If it was just personality alone, he probably would go higher up. But, again, we didn't really have too much time exposed to the guy. We didn't really get to see how he runs the dojo, for example. We didn't really get an episode fully focused on him. It was, again, if he was involved, it was mostly to do with Kyo, wasn't it? So I think C tier is good for him. Love that he got with Hanajima at the end as well. Bit strange that he's the guy that raised one of the people that's in her same class. So it's a bit strange in that manner, but they both suit each other very well, don't they? Because, again, Shisho's such a lovely guy. Would have just been nicer if we again saw maybe episode or two focused on the guy. He maybe would have got upper place or two in my rankings, but I think C tier is good for him for now. Next up we have Kyoko, who I don't think I'm going to rank, but I can't fully rank yet because I haven't seen the movie. The movie does come out in 6 or 7 months, so obviously I'm not going to wait 6 or 7 months to do this list. Probably forget about her till then. You guys know how bad my memory is, but I think for Kyoko, and she was a massive part of the storyline, wasn't she? A massive part of the storyline. We didn't really get to see her all too much when she was alive. I remember in season 1 we got some really awesome episodes focused on Uo, with her seeing her as the gang leader and this gang member. We also saw plenty of her kind of raising Toru and seeing that Toru kind of left the house lost and worrying about her, and obviously we saw Kyoko die and her dying thoughts as well, which was so emotional. I think it was going to be A tier for Kyoko. I think so anyway, just because, again, we didn't get a massive amount of one episode focused on her. For example, we got whole episodes focused on Kyo and Toru, which obviously adds so much to their character development. Kyoko appeared in a lot of episodes, but only here and there. There was like 5 or 6 minute spurts of her, wasn't there? So we never really got to see her for a massively prolonged period of time. And then again, we did get a lot of time with her. We saw her as a parent, saw how loving she was, saw how great she was at raising Toru, as well as helping out a little boy with orange hair as well, who was a little bit rattled. That was really awesome to see, and obviously her death scene again was one of my favourite scenes the whole show, to be honest with you guys. Seeing her thoughts, seeing her pass away, and her thoughts towards her daughter really choked me up. Still thinking about it chokes me up a little bit. So yeah, very impactful character. Definitely could be S tier. I imagine she's probably S tier for a lot of you guys as well. Maybe not, but again, she's a massive part of the story. She's a massive personality. She's a big driving factor in Toru's character. So yeah, I think A tier fits pretty well. Definitely could move up to the S tier depending on what the movie has in store. As I mentioned, we're not fully exposed to all of Kyoko yet. We've still got to see her and Katsya, I think his name is, in their younger days through the movie. So that should be a very interesting watch. Okay, so next up we've got Toru Honda. Now it's pretty obvious that this is going to be S tier. It's just, does she go above or below a Keto? And there's going to be some hard decisions in here. I mean, obviously S tier. I think yeah, she's got to go above a Keto. She's definitely got to go at the top of S tier for now, hasn't she? Again, she had so much of a focus on her during the show. Maybe the most amount of screen time out of any character in the show. Obviously, she is the proper main character. She's the driving force in the Somas kind of being released from their curse as well, isn't she? And yeah, just an absolute pleasure of a human being, to be honest, isn't she? So polite, such a lovely person. Again, just from her being alive, these people, so many lives got saved, and just her being herself, and that in itself speaks volumes, doesn't it? So many awesome episodes surrounding her, so many wholesome moments, so many moments for other characters that she made wholesome just for being there. Again, one of the driving factors in why this is one of my favourite shows I've watched. So I won't say too much, but yeah, definitely top of S tier for Toru Honda. Could go on for absolutely ages about what she's done for characters, specifically Kyo as well, Yuki as well, Haru. She's done a hell of a lot for specific characters and characters that like Ritsu, who have had hardly any interaction with her. So Yeah, I'll stop there. Next, we've got Kakaroo, a guy that you guys let me know that didn't that kind of got missed out a little bit on in the final season, as he was meant to get some development with a girlfriend, I'm pretty sure, and like his home life or something like that, but never got to see that in the anime, unfortunately. Either way, he was a pretty good character. Had a lot of really nice kind of comic moments as well between him and Yuki. There was some nice comic relief from the show being quite serious in some aspects. But he was also a bit of a dick at moments as well. That is very true. I really liked him. You know, he had some really hard hitting conversations with Yuki as well. Although as I said, he is a bit of a dick at sometimes. He can be really nice as well. And he did help Yuki progress as well, of course, didn't he? And he did get a reasonable amount of screen time, considering he was only introduced in season 2. So I think bottom of B tier actually fits him pretty nicely for me. Just below Hero, he's reasonably similar to Hero in some aspects as well. He's reasonably childish, but again, he has got that kind of cutting edge to him as well, hasn't he? He does know right from wrong. And again, he's some really nice comic relief. Next up, we've got Matchy, who's a character again I relate to a hell of a lot. Very much like her. I really wasn't like her at all in my high school years and during my school days, but afterwards I have and now I'm become quite a lot like her. So I really relate to her character a hell of a lot, and of course seeing her develop over the course of the show over season 2. Again, she's only introduced in season 2. Seeing her kind of develop over the course of season 2 and then into season 3, and the relationship with Yuki as well developing, just been absolutely amazing in my opinion. This is another difficult one because I want to put her A tier just because, again, I relate to her so much. I love her so much as well. Every moment she's on screen is an absolute pleasure. I think I will go A tier. You know what? It's difficult because I don't know if I necessarily put her above these two in normal circumstances, just because I really like these two as well. But again, just because I feel so much akin to her, it's almost like how Yoshikage Kira is one of my favourite characters because I relate a hell of a lot to him as well. Just because I've got so much in common with her, I think I will go A tier for Matchy, although again it does seem a bit odd that I'm putting her above these two, just because I really like those two as well. They're really awesome friends. But I think again, just the storyline for Matchy, the backstory, the developments she went on in such a short period of time with Yuki was just immense. So next up, we've got an interesting addition, which is Hanajima's brother, who we only see in 2 episodes, I believe. I think he'll be going in the C tier. He was very mature for his age, wasn't he? He had some great advice. Definitely had some good comic relief moments as well. Both him and Hanajima make for a pretty awesome duo in that regard, don't they? Some very serious, but also again comedic moments. I especially love when this girl, who we're going to be ranking next, came over the house to try and sabotage. But obviously these two weren't having any of it. Well, I don't even think they even realised. But yeah, he wasn't a big focus, or he wasn't a big storyline. He could have easily not been in the show, and the show wouldn't have changed at all, would it? But again, he was a nice addition for Hanajima, that's for sure. And I think alongside Shisho, he didn't get all too much screen time, so I can't actually rate him that highly. But of course, Shisho was a hell of a lot more impactful, so that is why he goes above him. Next up, we have got this girl whose name I cannot remember. Unfortunately, I think we didn't really get much of a focus on her either. We got the first episode of season 2 was a massive focus on her, and I think maybe later in season 2 we had a episode where she left and she graduated, which was quite an interesting episode. It wasn't obviously one of my favourite parts of the whole story, but it was nice seeing her kind of story actually wrap up. They could have again very easily just kind of left it, and I wouldn't have been bothered all that much. But it was nice they actually went to the effort of doing that. Although thinking about it, they could have. I would have rather them left that out and then maybe added this storyline with Kakaroo's girlfriend in season 3, for example. But obviously, again, we don't really know the politics that goes around what they could put in the show and how much time they have to put in, whatever, or what they decide to put in, do we? So you can never fully judge in that aspect. But I think in general that, again, they've done a good job with her character, considering she could have very easily been a D tier character, a person you could have hated. They actually made her reasonably likable, and they actually gave her this storyline of liking Yuki, but knowing that she's going to fail and such, and having Yuki actually kind of confront her about that, it was quite interesting. I will still go C tier. and I'll go middle of C tier because again, I still didn't really care all that much, but again, it was nice that they actually went to the effort of trying something with her character at the very least, and not making her absolutely unbearable. And she was some good comic relief at moments as well. I remember the fucking. It was almost like loincloth mask Sam from from Gintama, where she had the disguise on with her two mates. They did actually get quite a bit of screen time in season 1, didn't they? But again, that does also add moments like that in season 1 where they had so much screen time. They could have taken that away, and it wouldn't have taken away from the story at all. And then they could have had these moments for Kakaroo, for example, again, where we could have got to see his girlfriend and him develop a bit more, which might have put him over the edge to A tier or top of B tier. But just unfortunate that wasn't the case. Matchy. And all the openings and endings are absolute bangers. I might have to watch the original anime in full, to be fair. I did. I think I mentioned to you guys. I did watch the last episode or parts of the last episode just before I watched the 3rd season, and it only covers up to what season 1 covered. But it looks like an interesting take on the story. It looks a lot more comedic than what a Fruits Basket was. Fruits Basket's 2019 was comedic as well. Don't get me wrong; it had lots of comedy moments, but the original version looks more comedy than romance, which is quite interesting. Shigerei especially caught me off guard in that final episode. Now I think this is Katsya. Again, a character I can't really rank because I never really saw too much of him. We only got a couple lines here and there. Again, after the prologue movie, we probably could rank him like actually where he would be, because I imagine the prelude movie probably has a hell of a lot of him and Kyoko in that. So yeah, unfortunate, but I'm not sure I can really rank him. As a plot point, he's quite an interesting plot point for Toru, isn't he? And why she is how she is. But again, we don't actually see all that much of him. I'm not going to rank him, I don't think. Again, that might be another reason as to why I might have should have done this after watching the prelude movie, but waiting again 6 months, I think a lot of my opinions probably would have changed after it being not so fresh in my mind. So yeah, we'll leave Katsia for now. Apologies about that. Next up, we have got I can't remember her name. But this is Hattori's potential new girlfriend, and obviously the teacher of the kids as well. Now she got a reasonable amount of development and characterization, didn't she? We especially had that episode in season 2, which I remember very well, of her kind of crying her eyes out with Hattori. Would have actually liked to see a lot more of those two kind of grow together as well, because Hattori's story in season 1 was one of my absolute favourite episodes of season 1, maybe even my favourite episode. Kind of not counting the end of the series. I think the end of the series of season 1 was definitely some of the best episodes, but in terms of kind of one-off episodes, I think the Hattori one was one of my absolute favourites. So yeah, I would have actually liked to see those two quite a bit more in the 2nd and 3rd season and see how they kind of went together, because again, Hattori was one of my favourite characters going into the 2nd season. It's a shame we didn't get all too much screen time with both of them until the final episode of the 3rd season, where we get to see those two go on a trip, or discuss going on a trip. But I think she will be going in the C tier as well. I think she'll be going to the top of C tier because again, we did get a reasonable good amount of focus on her and seeing her storyline with Hattori and Hattori's ex-fiance, and seeing how those two got along, and seeing how she slept with Shigerei, for example, to try and not be lonely. And again, we did get a good amount of focus on her, didn't we? But again, I would have liked to see the kind of end her story a little bit more, because we got a really good start, we got a really good middle, but it kind of almost skipped the part towards the end, and we just kind of went to the end of the final episode. That might have been something again to do with the time restraints in season 3, but that would have been really nice to see. And again, that might have moved her up to a B tier, maybe even higher in B tier, but I think top of C tier is fair for her. Again, she had some decent comedic moments, but in general, she was a reasonably serious character, except for that whole crying episode, which was something. Next, we've got a fair few. Who is that guy? Who is this? It's got the designs of the characters from the manga, so it's hard to tell who this guy is. I thought this was Hero. It looks like Hero. I've got no idea who that is. Oh, is that the guy? Oh, now I get it. So that's the guy from the fucking student council. The Weasel guy. So yeah, now we've got a few kind of side characters which I don't care all that much for. We've got this girl who's Shigerei's assistant. She had something going on with Ritsu, didn't she? And that's pretty much all I got from her. She was quite loud, quite annoyed at Shigerei. Obviously, you would be trying to work for that guy. But other than that, she didn't really get any kind of character developments, did she? Apart from that one episode in season 1. So I think we will go bottom of D tier for her because again, not a character explored that much. Wasn't especially funny. Wasn't especially charismatic. Wasn't a big takeaway from the show. And yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. Next, we've got this girl whose name I can't remember yet again. She, again, didn't have too much screen time, didn't have all that much development at all until the final episode where we saw her kind of get together with Ayane. It was one of my kind of secret favourites. But yeah, don't remember her name again. But we had some fun with her, that's for sure. She dressed up the characters on a few occasions and did appear a few occasions. But again, she didn't really have any type of storyline. She didn't really have this kind of super standout personality. Again, don't get me wrong, she was really fun and really nice, and she was quite loud. But in terms of again standing out, I don't think she really stood out that much. So I think I will go D tier for her as well. Middle of D tier. It's quite a shame. A lot of these characters coming up will be going in the D tier alongside this girl whose name again I can't remember. I think she will be going at the top because she did have she had a kind of playful personality and she did have some really good comedic moments. But again, her storyline didn't really go anywhere. She didn't really have a kind of storyline to set out, for example. Anyway, did she? She didn't really have any kind of big issues or anything. She was just kind of there in the student council. Again, many of this could be wrong from what you guys have read in the manga. These characters could have got some massive moments in the manga, but just going on from what I saw in the anime, I think she's probably top of D tier. Again, had some cute moments here and there in the story, but again, nothing massively impactful and wasn't really a massive standout character. Next, we've got the Weasel from the student council. Whose again name I can't remember. I think he's going right at the bottom because he was more of an annoyance than anything, wasn't he? He was just always complaining about something. He had an interesting kind of not really sure what to call it character trait, I guess, where he was kind of jealous of Yuki, and he did end up liking this girl here in the C tier. But we never actually saw that go anywhere, did we, unfortunately? That could have been, again, another interesting kind of storyline they could have developed upon. It would, again, be pretty pointless because it wouldn't hold a candle to any of these characters' storylines. So I can understand why they didn't move along with that, but they didn't even try to. So yeah, I didn't really like this guy at all when he was on the screen. I never smiled once when he said anything, or yeah, again, bottom of D tier for me. Probably my least favourite character from the show, out of these ones listed anyway. Apologies for my voice does sound a bit funny at times as well, by the way, guys. I have got a little bit of a stuffed nose, so I can hear it myself when I do sound a little bit funny, so hopefully it comes okay across the mic. Sometimes I sound exactly the same, even when I do sound different in real life on the mic, so yeah, and this has definitely been a little bit longer than I expected as well. I always do have a little bit more to say about these, about any of the characters than I usually kind of go in thinking about. But we've got a few big ones coming up now. We have got Yuki, who, if we were talking about the first season and the first half of the second season, probably would have been maybe B tier, maybe bottom of A tier for me. But I think he's definitely got to go S tier. Where in the S tier, I will have to have a think in a minute, but he's one of my absolute favourite characters. Again, I didn't really like him too much in the first season and the first half of the second season, but the developments he got, especially with Matchy getting involved as well, who was another character related to, I relate a hell of a lot to Yuki as well, and a lot of his problems. Again, obviously not the problem of being so fucking beautiful and popular with the ladies, definitely not that one, but in terms of his kind of self-worth and such, yeah, I just relate to him a hell of a lot, and especially his storyline with Matchy as well. Just became a character I really loved seeing on the screen, and every time he had a kind of story episode, an episode focused on him and him evolving and developing as a person, it was one of my absolute favourites. Just because, again, the developments they made for him were just so realistic and one step at a time, very small jumps, but very there were very small jumps, but big jumps for him, obviously, and it was just very impactful to me personally. And again, just became one of my favourite characters, even though again I really didn't get along with him that well in the first season. He never really had any big standout moments for me in the first season, but after that, he was just an absolute standout, one of my favourites of the main cast. It was always kind of Kyo over Yuki for me, especially in season 1. But he actually kind of blurred the lines of that in season 2 and getting into season 3 as well, which was just a testament to how much of a great job they've done with his character. So I think he will be going. Oh, he's going to go above Rin. This is so difficult. I think he will be going just under Akio again. I think Akio done so much for the story. It's almost impossible to actually rank these guys, isn't it? Whatever. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. A lot of these probably change again. If I'd done this again in 6 months, this would probably all change. But next up, we've got Ren. Character introduced. Was it season 2? It might have been season 3. If it was season 2, it was very late in season 2. If not, it was season 3. So obviously not too much in terms of screen time for her. We definitely got to know her as a character pretty well, being the horrible person that she is. That, again, doesn't make her a bad character, so that doesn't put her in the D tier. For me personally, anyway, this is just how I kind of rank things. But yeah, she definitely had a kind of interesting personality. I don't ever really kind of know where that kind of stemmed from, this kind of insecurity towards herself and her kind of hatred for her daughter being born and kind of taking her lover away from her. We didn't really get to see where that kind of stemmed from. We got to see that happen in some of the flashbacks, but again, we didn't really get to see the root cause of it, which takes away some points for her for me. Again, was a decent antagonist, but again, only appeared throughout a few episodes and wasn't massively important. Don't get me wrong, she was a massive threat and a massive bitch at that as well, but in terms of storyline, she wasn't massively well, I guess she was kind of massive in the fact that she brought up Akio the way that she did, or didn't bring up Akio in the way that she that she did. But in terms of her actually being a massive part by herself, apart from in the past, apart from flashbacks, she wasn't actually all that important. Other than the book stuff as well, she did bring up a lot of plot points, but she wasn't massively involved in them. If that makes sense to you guys. She's not a character that this show could have deleted and kind of moved on about in that aspect. She was very important to the story, but as a character in her own right, she didn't really get all too much development or a massive insight into the backstory. It was more of an insight into Akio's backstory than it was Ren's backstory, wasn't it, with her introduction? So I think I will go C tier just because, again, the impact that she did have, and probably the top of C tier, right? Nah, yeah, probably the top of C tier then. Now I am thinking about it, obviously she had much more impact, so if impact was a thing, she'd probably be going here in the middle of B tier. But just because I really don't like her as a person, she's going to C tier. Next up, we've got, again, that's how tier lists work, isn't it? Personal bias, along with, I tried to mix in a bit of personal bias with my favourite characters, and then some actual kind of logic with the story. And for example, that's what I try to do. Obviously, it's not going to be the case every time. There will just be characters that have favourites just for the sake of me really liking them. Next up, we've got Kyo, who might be one of those. Obviously, he had some massive story developments. Probably the most kind of story, most dramatic moments, maybe. The end of season 1 is what kind of made me fall in love with the show and made me love watching it every day. Seeing his relationship with Toru during that time and seeing him turn into this monster, and again, a character I relate to a hell of a lot in terms of his past and having this kind of monster he turns into. I think everyone can relate to that. Everyone's got started and they don't want other people to see. Again, every character that I've talked about to this point has got aspects like that relates to almost every human. It's just how much do you relate to that kind of aspect of that person. And I think Kyo's definitely got to go S tier. I think he'll be going in the second in S tier. Again, absolutely love his relationship with Toru. The two top tier characters in the show have a relationship together, just makes for absolutely spectacular watching. Whenever these two are on the screen, it just absolutely flies by. Just seeing these two have fun, just sitting down talking, sitting down having a massive dialogue about what their internal thoughts are, confessing to each other. Whenever these two are on the screen together, it's just absolute fireworks. When Kyo's on screen by himself as well, seeing him, he might have even had more time on the screen than Toru, to be honest with you guys. I'm really not sure, but he had a hell of a lot of focus on him and his backstory and his development into the person that he was at the end of the series, keeping that promise to Kyoko. Again, he had a lot of developments as a character. He was a really awesome character. Obviously, has a few traits that I don't really care about the fighting and such in season 1, for example. But that actually quickly goes away in season 2, doesn't it? We don't actually really see that anymore after season 2. And again, that just proves how much he kind of developed as a character. And he still had these flaws all the way through the series as well. That's another really great thing about a lot of these characters. He still had those massive flaws even up until the third season, where he ran away and he still couldn't face Toru, but it's not a detriment against him, it's a positive, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, definitely S tier. It's funny that I've got so many characters in S tier as compared to the compared to A tier or B tier. Just find that quite interesting. Next up, we've got Shigerei. Ooh, the mystery guy. I think we're going to go A tier. I don't think he deserves S tier. Definitely another driving factor in the curiosity in the show, and what brings up a lot of questions whenever he's got an episode focused around him, or whenever he says something during an episode that you find very interesting. Like, oh, well, maybe that might come up a bit later. That's why I'm really looking forward to rewatching the series, because I imagine he says quite a lot in season 1 and season 2 that you don't quite get at that moment in time, but that you will really understand after you've finished watching the series. But I think just for the intrigue he brings, and he's definitely a really fun character as well, isn't he? But his storyline really goes really well as well with Keto, and the relationship he had with her is very spiteful. Again, not very bright or not very lovely to a lot of people, which might put him down for some people, but very realistic and very grounded and interesting as well. It doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to be good or lovely. His relationship was quite disgusting and quite gritty, and I really liked it in that aspect. It was really different from a lot of the relationship we saw until that point. So I think it's definitely got to go A tier. He just brings something different to the show that no other character does bring. So yeah, definitely A tier. I think bottom of A tier probably goes well for Shigerei. Again, he might be an S tier character for a lot of you people. That's why I'm quite interested to see in his depiction in the original season of Fruits Basket, the old 90s or 2000s version of Fruits Basket, because he looked like a completely different character in that show. Not just looked, but kind of acted like what it seemed. Next, we've got Kaguya, or Kagura. Too many Kags at the minute. She will be going... See, she's a character I don't really care all that much for. I really absolutely hated her in the first season. Maybe not absolutely hated, but she was so annoying in the first season. Her voice was really annoying. It's funny because Kagura from Gintama is one of my absolute favourite characters in Gintama. Obviously, the same voice actor. Obviously, Kagura in Gintama was maybe even more annoying at moments, but she had so much of a play in her voice. She could change it to these low monotone kind of sounds, and then she had this high pitched normal Kagura type of appeal in Gintama. But in Fruits Basket, it was all the kind of same tone, and I did find that quite annoying. To be honest with you guys, but when she did get the developments for her character, her confessing to Kyo, and that episode in general where she confessed to Kyo and she got rejected was definitely the best moments for her. That's for sure. The best we got of her. But other than that, I didn't really enjoy too much of her being on the screen. So I think she outclasses all the characters in C tier, in D tier, should I say? I think she also outclasses a few of these at the bottom of C tier as well, so I think we will put her in the middle of C tier again. When she did get developments, it was really good, but when she didn't, it was just quite annoying having her on the screen. But again, that's one of my personal tastes. A lot of you guys, or a few of you guys, might end up having her in the A or B tier just because, again, you might love her personality and who she is. But again, I didn't really care all too much for her kind of comedic side of her. It was more when it got serious, it did actually get quite interesting, but it didn't get serious all too often apart from that one episode, did it? Next, we've got Bemidji. I think that's little Bemidji anyway. He hasn't been on the list so far. Now, he was a great character. Again, it's another character in terms of, like I said earlier, he's a favourite just for being a favourite. He's just so damn cute and so damn wholesome. his storyline really does get really good in the latter half of the show as well. But during the first parts of the show, it wasn't all too. He didn't really get too much development apart from when we saw him with his sister, and we got that one episode again with him in the business building. I can't remember what it's called, where we saw him with his sister, and then we got to learn about what was happening there. Apart from that episode in the early stages of Fruits Basket, he didn't get a lot of development, but he was still one of my favourite characters during that time because he was, again, such an awesome guy. I think in that regard, he will probably go. Well, it's difficult because he could go top of A, he could go S tier. I think I'll be going S tier just because, again, he's a favourite for favourite's sake, isn't he? And he does get some really nice development in the latter half of the season as well. Obviously, breaking the bond, seeing him move on, seeing that episode focused on him with that smile at the end was just so bright and so awesome as well. So yeah, I absolutely loved his development. It was just a character that stayed S tier pretty much throughout the whole show, wasn't he? So yeah, I think we'll be going S tier for him, probably above Rin as well. Just because, again, personal favoritism reasons. Hattori now, which, again, it was one of my very bright points at the start of the series. It was definitely my favorite kind of one-off episode up until that point. Seeing his episode, seeing him with his ex-fiance, and he was lining up to be one of my absolute favorite characters in the whole show. But after that, we didn't really get too much of him. We didn't get to see him all too much. That was one, again, of my little gripes with the show. I would have liked to see more Hattori. I would have liked to see where his storyline went with this woman, and see them maybe grow a little bit. Not even full episodes focused on them, just maybe 2 or 3 minute parts. You just add to an episode where we see those two just kind of getting along, and that would have done a hell of a lot for me during the story. It might have made him an S or an A tier character, but just because, again, we didn't get too much exposure to him, we didn't get too much developments from him in the latter half of the show. I will have to mark him down for that. But again, if we were going off. I see if I'd done this just after season 1, he'd probably be in the S or A tier. But again, a little bit disappointed in where his character development went, in my personal opinion. So I think he will go B tier because, again, he's still an awesome guy. Still absolutely love his personality, but again, just would like to see a little bit more of him. I think we'll put him towards the top of B tier. Again, still an awesome guy, still a very impactful storyline and backstory from that first season, and again, one of the major points of me continuing with the first season and loving that first season because he's one of the best episodes in that. So yeah, I think that's about fair. Next up, we've got Haru. He's an interesting character. Again, he's got those two sides to him, hasn't he? He's very awesome in terms of his character, having both those two sides, and his nice side being ever so nice and so subtle as well. Just got such a quiet type of voice, but such a soothing voice as well as that, and just a very interesting character. A character that hasn't really not really character in the show like him, is there? And we don't get to see his dark side all that much, but when it did come out, it really was something. But his relationship with Rin and seeing their storyline was, again, just absolutely beautiful. And again, another reason why I'm a little bit disappointed with Hattori, seeing how these two, Rin and Harry's relationship went. Like, they could have done something similar with Hattori. Obviously, they're completely different dynamics in their relationships, but just the amount of focus these two got. If they had that same amount of focus on some other characters, that they could have gone above higher as well. But yeah, Haru definitely up there for me. I think. Oh, because again, we've got to see his backstory with Rin as well. Seeing his bonds break. Those episodes were absolutely amazing with those two when his bonds broke. I think I'll be going top of B tier. Oh, this is a difficult one. Top of B tier, bottom of A tier for me. Again, not one of my absolute personal favourite characters as in the character himself. Again, he's a lovely guy, an awesome guy, but in terms of favourite personalities, he's not up there. In terms of the story, again, he is definitely up there, and in terms of development, for sure, he's up there with him and Rin. There was an ongoing story from the second season, like the beginning of the second season, all the way until the end of the third season. So it was a big part of the show, wasn't it? So yeah, I think I'll go bottom of A tier for Haru. Again, awesome guy. And lastly, I should say, we've got Ayane, who, again, one of my kind of secret favourite characters of the show. I really enjoyed him in terms of his personality and that that kind of bright joyfulness he does bring. Again, not too much of a massive impact on the story. He's a massive impact in Yuki's story, and his own story within Yuki's story as well, him not being there for him at the start but then coming round. I just found that quite interesting. I really enjoyed his kind of efforts to be there for his brother after not being there for him at all. And again, one of my kind of secret favourite characters in terms of personality. Again, didn't have too much of a massive impact on the overall story of the show, but as a character and a personality, I really enjoyed him. I didn't get massive developments either until that last episode where we did get to see him with the maid woman. Although I absolutely loved the episode where he came in with his mother and Yuki during the meeting at school. That was again another moment that showed how far he did come up until that point in helping his brother out. And yeah, that was one of my favourite moments of that season. Seeing both Yuki and Ayane kind of stand up to their mother. But yeah, that means that I would probably put him in the A tier. I don't think he's an S tier character. Again, one of my personal favourites, but a character I probably know that a lot of people probably don't have towards the higher end of their tier lists. Although again, I haven't actually seen any. I think I will be going A tier, just above Haru for me. Again, that's a personal one for me. Again, I know he's probably B tier or C tier for a lot of other people, but again, that's just a personal one of mine. And obviously that leaves Katsya, who again I'm not going to rank just because I haven't seen the movie, haven't seen an awful lot of him. I don't really want to rank him as a plot point because that's pretty much all he is at this point. Obviously to Toru and Kyoko, obviously he's a lot more than just a plot point. He is this guy with a personality, but we don't really get to see that throughout the series. So I don't really feel fair ranking him until I see the prelude movie. So he'll stay there for now. But yeah, that is the list. Quite even actually, isn't it? There's only a max of two spots difference between 2 spots difference between each section, which obviously goes to show how much of a top tier cast this show has. Thinking about it now, I will just have one look over. I think the D tier is definitely cemented. C tier, obviously Hanajima's brother could go in the D tier because we didn't get to see all that much of him, but I think I'm quite happy with how this went. I might actually move Kareno up, thinking about it, because I really like Kareno. He was a massive part of the story as well, wasn't he? But then again, I'm not fully ranking on just massive parts of the story. So yeah, I think I'm happy with this. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I think I'm happy with how I place these characters now, looking back at it. Again, this probably could change in a month or so, or a few months, probably even after I watch the prelude movie again. I doubt I'll revisit this just because again, I'll only be ranking one more character. If there's more characters involved in the prelude movie, I might come back to it, but I don't think there is. I think again it is a main focus on Kyoko and Katsya, but yeah, this was very difficult just because again there's a lot of really awesome characters in the show, and a lot of characters that do a lot for the storyline but don't do so much for their kind of own personality and characterization, and then there's a lot that do a lot for their own personality and characterization that don't do much for the story, like Ayane for example, and Kareno. I think these are both very good depictions of that. But yeah, very hard choices. Let me know again what you guys would have put your favourite characters down in the comment section. If you guys want to list your full tier list, that would be awesome. A lot of work for you guys, so maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe just list who would be in your S tier, or if you guys have a character that is in my S tier that would be in your C tier, for example, let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you guys did enjoy this video as well, and subscribe to the channel if you do want to keep up to date with any of my reactions. This will probably be, unfortunately, the last bit of Fruits Basket related content I do on the channel until the movie does come out. So yeah, it's going to be my kind of final goodbye to Fruits Baskets, which is sad. I'm glad I got to listen to the full soundtrack while doing this video, which was really awesome. And obviously I'm going to be listening to the full soundtrack for a while yet, just because it's been absolutely awesome. And I can't wait to rewatch it as well. I'm currently, again, rewatching Gintama, and I'm about 200 episodes in that at the minute. So I've still got quite a ways to go there. But after I rewatch that, I will be rewatching Fruits Basket. And again, I can't wait to see this man, Shigerei especially, probably go off my books. He might end up going up, but again, no, obviously you guys won't get to know about that, but yeah, hopefully join me when the prelude movie's out. I think it'll be in about 5 or 6 months or so, so still got quite a bit of a wait, but absolutely can't wait for it. The ratings for that have jumped up massively. They were about a 7 out of 10. Now they're about an 8.5, which is really awesome to see. But yeah, again, let me know what you guys thought about this one down in the comment section, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, guys.